Good afternoon. Welcome to the Farm and Food Business Finance Working Group info session. We are going to move forward and go through our next steps as we make our transition here to action. Um, First, I wanted to introduce members of our team here at NYSOG. So my name is Kristen Tim. I'm the CEO and just finishing up my first month here at NYSOG, focused on our Food Future project. I did want to introduce Kimberly LaMendola, who's our Chief Program Officer.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining in. My name's Kimberly LaMendola, and our contact will be at the end of the slide. Reach out, connect with any of us. Thank you.
And next up, Deanna.
Hello, everybody. My name is Deanna Garwal, and I am the Program and Communications Manager here at NYSOG. I'm relatively new-ish. I've been around for about 4 months, but I'm incredibly passionate about food justice, so very happy to be here. And if you need anything in regards to follow-up or communications whatsoever, as Kim mentioned, our contact info, my contact info will also be at the end of this presentation.
And then on her behalf, we also have our other teammate, Rachel, who's our Program and Diversity Manager. She is not with us at the moment, but her contact information will also appear at the end of this session, so you can reach out to her directly. Anyone who's joining in during our info session, please drop your name, your organization, and your email in the chat. So we will get going here. So the first thing we really wanted to talk about is just setting the basis for how we got here. We are charged with an appropriation of funds following a series of observations of the impact of the pandemic. As we all noticed, empty grocery store shelves and greater need in our region. That was demonstrated, whether those were also new or magnified food insecure households, really brought to light the need for a plan for sustainable change within our region. That led to an 18-month consulted guided assessment of our local food supply and our local food system with a consistent lens of equity across our 9-county region. With the goal of creating new models, we saw also during this time a lot of consumers going directly to farms for their food, with our local markets finding themselves having to traverse new territory and how to deal with the pandemic. And ultimately, out of the 8-month assessment, identifying gaps, opportunities, our areas of diversity, and as they relate to our different geographic parts of our region. So now we're really focused on shifting to action-oriented, sustainable changes. You can read our full report from the assessment, working through the scale consultants. That's at foodfuturewny.org. There's both a summary and a full version of the report. We did want to share this specific quote from the full report, which really underscores the need to address all the degrees of disequities within our food system. As I mentioned, we're focused on Western New York, typically an 8-county region, but we are looking at it as 9 counties, including Monroe and the Rochester area, really being mindful of being inclusive of both our regional food banks, both Feed More in Buffalo and Food Link in the Rochester area. Not only their service areas, but the cultural exchange that really exists between both the Buffalo and Rochester area. When we look at where we landed following our 18-month process, and look at that Western New York regional food system and that final report that you can view on our website, you would find, if you were to count, we had a board member who was gracious in doing so, 144 different recommendations that came out of our working groups. It was specifically very much emphasized on a participatory platform collaboratively. The framework of the consultancy then moving forward with a long-term goal to support this assessment and then action and implementation process. There was much evidence during the assessment of strong assets, but also systemic inequities that need to be addressed, and with the overarching challenges of farming in general. So those fell under our key broad findings. And then again, our opportunities in the region, which were certainly validated and supported by the participants in the process. We also want to make sure we're emphasizing a collaborative framework. This graphic really does a nice job and is meant to visually show how all participants are connected. We have the NYSOG staffing. We've built capacity here within our organization to support the Food Future Project. You'll see the 5 working groups that are represented at the core with the regional leadership team, as we will talk about the evolution of the advisory council to a leadership team and their capacity, as well as all of our collaborative partners, which is all of our possible stakeholders. And again, continuing that theme of a strong lens of equity across all of our working groups, and specifically these operating principles, which were agreed upon by our participants and will be carried through phase 2 of our project. We have partners from all 5 aspects of our food system. So that includes our producers, our processors, our folks in distribution, access, and then the byproducts. So the waste or regenerative farming in our food system. So again, we're really focusing on and understanding NYSOG is really here to be the backbone and to provide support work and staff for our project, pulling together our network, really with an emphasis on trust and transparency. None of our working groups or anyone involved is acting in a silo. It's really important that we are open and working with each other, finding that sort of cross-pollination, so to speak, of our initiatives among the working groups, and really looking towards long-term change. As the quote here states, high-functioning networks are key to achieving food system goals. So the historic definitions of our participatory framework, as I mentioned, and we had 25 food system leaders who were on our regional advisory council, and then part of our working groups, all with a goal of extracting data during our consultancy. There were over 200 people involved for nearly 200 years that established a very effective knowledge base and connections within that collaborative network. And now, as we mentioned, our goal here today is really using this platform as we transfer over to our implementation. So as we move forward, our Regional Advisory Council, we've, under guidance, have renamed our Regional Leadership Team. And then also our working groups are really focused forward on action and setting priorities during this phase 2 portion of our project. We are reconvening. The regional leadership team really will be focusing on a priority of being an advisory role in a leadership position, We will be onboarding an equity consultant in the near future who will work closely with our leadership team. And also, they will assure that the work is locally rooted within our groups. We'll be supported by staff and our NYSOG board of directors. And very important, just respecting everybody's varied and direct experiences. So looking back and forward at our 5 working groups, originally there were 4, and then infrastructure was added, really became its own animal, so to speak. Again, you can read about all of these at our website, foodfuturewny.org. And there's really no it should be emphasized that there's the potential for flexibility. There could be subgroups that are initiated for expedited responses as part of these 5 working groups. There's really no, one size fits all or static approach to changing food systems and ensuring their sustainability. Specifically today, as we talked about, we're talking about finance for food and farming businesses. We are moving the action forward. We are looking to have our first meeting as a group in mid to late August, really nailing down our mission and looking at what our recommendations may look like. The consultant's report was published. The work ended around June of 2022, with the report being published in September. And out of that, for each working group came a 1-page snapshot directly from the participants of 3 to 5 priority projects, looking at primary recommendations and action steps, really rooted in a goal of resilience, flexibility, and representational, both geographically, issues, and opportunity. So if we take a closer look here to that 1 page, again, specifically for our farm and food business finance, this really lays our foundation. In this particular realm, with an overarching objective to expand the amount, variety, and fairness of capital available to food and farming businesses. You'll see the acronym FFBs used consistently throughout in reference to that. And in our Western New York food system, again, those 9 counties that we're looking at. And I would also emphasize, again, that consistent equity lens that's really woven throughout all of our working groups. And in this case, with an emphasis to include folks who are small, those located to low income, rural and urban communities, those small businesses, and those run by BIPOC and women entrepreneurs. And you'll see here our ongoing tasks, what our goals are to meet together, and our initiatives. Again, participant defined. You will receive an email within the next day or 2. We will provide you with a recording of this session, so you'll be able to take some time at your own leisure and read through these details a little bit more. So what were the findings that came out of our consultant-led assessment, specifically for our farm and food business finance? And it really has a consistent theme of tapping into resources, connecting those who need support with those who have resources and what that looks like, really emphasizing the collaborative networks. Are there subsidies, both state and local? How do we grow capital? How do we sustain the viability of regional farming? Focused investment funds, incentives for people to invest, tax credits, and then tying into that, general infrastructure concerns. Banks are consolidating. There's also regulatory requirements. What do those look like at a minimum? How do we educate ourselves? Again, this is all a conglomeration from the participants, research, best practice, and interactions. So if we look at our primary goals, so our recommendations, again, available in the full report, We have 4 that we're looking at. Consistent theme of building out resources, creating regional funding, expanding local investments, and really accelerating the flow of local capital. How can we do that? And if we break these down, so number 1, building out those resources. What is our pool of financial options within our region? What technical assistance can we provide for folks in food and farming business? What projects are they looking at? What will help them get over their barriers or lead them to the next level of success? How do we make connections with those who have projects and a need with our grassroots investing initiative? Can we come up with a resource for quick reference so folks can hop right on, know what they need help with, and link up with someone who can either help them directly or connect them with someone else? We want to mobilize and assist as quickly as we can. And then also recommendation developing regular webinar series. We can learn from past successes. So how do we create a library, again, as another resource for people to tap into to see maybe a similar idea or something that can be adapted to their needs? Next, creating a new regional fund that invests in food and farming business projects, again, focused on specific criteria, pool of capital, diverse investors, neighborhood communities, speaking to our region, diversifying risk, so we don't have all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak, providing technical assistance, seeking out regional leaders and guidance, and really capitalizing on local pools of funding, all throughout identifying our chronic and systemic barriers. Third recommendation, expanding the local investment marketplace. So who's seeking support? Who are our investors? How do we join those seeking support with investors, facilitating those connections, increasing the ability for crowdfunding, local investor education, and then those incentives that we talked about. So what is out there that incents someone to make that investment, whether it's tax deferred funds or other ways that allows them to reap the benefits as well. And then really building the network, all in the vein of long-term sustained funding. Fourth, encouraging policymakers in their region, particularly breaking down simple and low-cost ways for accelerating the flow of capital. Again, it goes back to education is key. Can we have readiness surveys so that people know if they're ready to seek funding, but maybe there's 2 areas that they need to remediate first to be more of an attractive project or an attractive borrower or someone to be invested in. Community banks, they know their community, lending to their local entities. Regional banks sharing equity evaluations and streamlining their ability to provide loans. Again, those incentives, tax exempt, tax credits, communities creating their own funds, and any way that we can educate ourselves and show how important it is for an alignment of regulatory requirements and laws. But at best, it's important for us to know what the rules are so that we can adapt or fall into where we need to. Finance, definitely, we see as a crossover topic between our areas, and I think will interact with all work groups, but really is its own speciality in itself. So what do our working groups look like in action? As I said, we've grown capacity significantly here at NYSOG over the last 4 or 5 months, and we've implemented our structure to be able to support our project and get going with our working groups and supportive of them. There is access to some discretionary funding for specific and emergent projects that would come up that can be run through our regional leadership team and recommendations to our NYSOG board to utilize and prioritize that pool of funding. For those folks participating as well, there is a budget for stipends for committed participation. That pool of funds will really be dependent on the number of folks involved in each working group. It will be spaced over a 4-month period. So again, looking to have that first meeting mid to late August and provide a predictable schedule through the next 4 months thereafter. So you will be receiving a survey as part of your follow-up email. Also, setting that work plan and setting our priorities, finding a good space to meet. Looking ahead is for our group as a whole, because we also want to make sure we're bringing everyone together. We are looking to offer several self-driving learning exchange tours in the fall. So more news to come on that. And then looking into late winter 2024, a regional summit, again, bringing everyone together, all of our stakeholders, partners, interested priorities, so that we can learn from each other and about what is relevant to the sustainability of our food system. And really overarching, again, long-term plan. This is not an overnight project. We know that, but we're ready to jump in and dig in with you and our working groups and grow our initiative, particularly with an emphasis on being locally rooted. The initiative remains, as we've stated here, bottom up, the folks who are doing and part of it, and we want to continue to cultivate those relationships. Oops. And then really nice encapsulating here, quote from one of our members of our Regional Advisory Council, now Regional Leadership Team, Chris Hartman, who is with Tidewater Food Hub in Rochester, really emphasizing the benefit of convening in the region, network building, sustained relationships. Surely an individual we will see as we traverse through our next steps. And then lastly here, just going back over, please visit our website at Food Future WNY. All of our contact information is also listed here. Our email, please feel free to reach out to us directly. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We really look forward to moving forward with our working groups. We will take a close look at our surveys that come back, so we can do our best to find a mutually agreeable day and time that works for most everyone, and again, get that predictable schedule out, and we can get down to work starting in August. You can take a look, be on the lookout for opportunities to partner with us and really expand our visual network, have your logo present on our website. There's no cost to that, just a commitment to being partners through this process. And again, growing those relationships. So I am going to close out our recording. Again, thank you for taking the time to listen to us getting our finance work group going. And we look forward to seeing you.